Okay, so this little mini video is about transformations. And in geometry, we're going to look at 3 different transformations. We're going to look at reflections, rotations, and translations. This picture right here comes from your textbook, so you can absolutely go look in there. It's from page 50. So this is from page 50 in your textbook if you want to look that. We're going to start with a little bit of vocabulary. So as you look at this, you have these pictures. If you look at how they're labeled, so if we look at the reflection piece, here's triangle ABC, and we know how to name that. We have triangle ABC. And then if you notice, it's reflected over this line, and the new triangle, the red triangle, okay, it got turned into, and what it's called is triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay, so these little, they look like ones, they're really just little marks, mean prime. Okay, so what that means is that these letter A prime relates to A, B prime to B, and C prime to C. Okay, and a little more vocabulary. This first shape, right, which in this reflection thing is triangle ABC, is what we call a pre-image. It's what we start with. And then as we transform it, it turns into the image. Okay? So reflection is exactly what it sounds like. You're reflecting it over a mirror. So you can read this definition, it's really useful. Each point and its image are the same distance from the line of reflection. We're going to do an example of that in just a second. Okay, the next one is a rotation. Okay, and the key to rotation is that if you have a shape that you're rotating it, right? So if I say this is X, Y, Z, W, and I want to rotate it, I have to pick some point that I'm going to rotate it around, if that makes sense. So if you look up here that has these dotted lines, what I'm going to do is I'll draw that here. So from this point P, from this point P, we're going to go this way. Okay, and if I want to rotate it, say 90 degrees, we'll go there. This point right here, okay, is going to be W prime, right? So I'm going to make a rectangle. Okay, this would be X prime, Y prime, and Z prime. Notice that any angle I draw in this situation that goes from a point on the original shape to the rotation point, so the vertex, to its image. So from the pre-image to the image, that angle should be 90 degrees. So that's a rotation. Lastly, we have a translation. Translation is actually a lot easier. It just is sliding. Okay, so notice we've turned this square, JMLK, and we've just moved it in every point in the same direction and the same distance. Okay, so here's an example. We want to translate. So a problem like this might have a diagram, a triangle, and it might say we want to translate, okay, and if it's on a coordinate plane, we might want to translate that to, let's say, X minus 3Y plus 2. Okay, so that might be the problem, right? So this is what it's saying. Hey, do this translation. So the first thing we might do, well, if the points aren't labeled, we'll label them. So in the pre-image here, we can think of our points. Our points are A, right, is -2, 1. B is 1, 4. And C is 2, -1. So what this is saying is if we're just going to move everything in the same direction, okay, what this tells us is how we're going to move it. So we're going to move X, we're going to move it down by 3, so now it's at -5, right, the X coordinate, and the Y we're adding 2. So our new point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. So there's A prime. Okay, so this is going to be our image. And we're going to do the same thing with B. So B prime is going to become -2, 6. So we're going to go -2, 6, right? So we've moved B 3 this way, 2 that way. And then lastly, C prime, so this is B prime. C prime, right, will be -1, 1. So we're going to be right here. So we can draw our shape. And if you notice, we've now moved this original red triangle, the pre-image, every point the same way, and we have our new translation. I do want to point out this notation up here with the arrow. This is called arrow notation. Arrow notation. Okay, so now we'll do a reflection one. Again, if this is we want to reflect this, we might want to name the points. And let's say we would say reflect over x-axis. Okay, so the key to this is that the image, every point in the image is the same distance. The same distance. That's the key to this whole situation. Okay, so to create the image, A prime is, A is 2 away, so A prime, 2 away. B prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, needs to be 5 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's B prime. And C prime's also 2 away. Okay, so as we do this, notice all 3 points are the same distance away as their counterpart, right? Okay, rotate. We already did a little example of this. We can do it again. We might say rotate 30 degrees from point P. Okay. Probably if they have you do this, you need a point P. So there's point P. So we draw this line. Quite frankly, you can go to any point. I always go to the closest one. And then we're going to go 30 degrees. Same distance. So this distance from P to D has to be the same. Let me make this a little more accurate. Has to be the same. Oh, sorry. Has to be the same as P to D prime. Right? So A then, right? This distance, and this has to be 30 degrees. Okay? But once you have one point, you can kind of see how it works. So now we can draw this. Sorry that my rectangle is not great. B prime, C prime. So that's a good rotation. Okay, so here's a problem I want you to try on your own. So the question is, what type of transformation, and then can you write it in arrow notation? Can you write the transformation in arrow notation? So at this point, I would like you to pause the video, get out a piece of paper, and solve it. Pause it. I'm waiting for you to pause it. Pause it, pause it. Okay, so you paused it, you've tried it, you've done it. So hopefully what you came up with is that this was a translation. That's what type it was. Okay, it was a translation. And if we started at XY, what we did is we went over 4, right? So X went up by 4. That shouldn't be, sorry. And Y went down by 3. So this is what an arrow notation would look like. Okay, here's another one to try on your own. So given this triangle ABC, can you reflect triangle ABC over the x-axis? Okay, so can you do that? So pause it, get out a piece of paper, try it. Pause it. Okay, so you've paused it, you've tried it. So what your answer should look like is A prime is there. I'm going to do C because that's the next easiest one. B is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should be what it looks like. Okay? For fun, if you want to call it that. I'd like you to try another problem. Can you, and this one's a little trickier, this is a little extension here. Can you reflect ABC over the y-axis? Okay. This one's trickier, so pause it and give it your best shot. Okay, so you've tried it. So we're going to do this. So remember, to reflect means it's going to be the same distance away from whatever your line of reflection is. Great. So so here's the y-axis. A is 3 away. So A prime is going to be 3 away. Okay. Similarly, here's B. Okay, B is 3 away. So we go over and we'll make B prime right here. C is a little bit further, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So we will mark C prime right here. Great. And there we go. So that is a reflection over the y-axis. You are officially done with your homework. Well done.